especially, I have a little bit of money, so I have a beautiful wife that I can cuddle up with. It's easy to roll back over and just say, I don't want to think about all that. So you know what I do? I say, what are we going to do for the next 30 minutes? We're going to go to the gym. Let's go and go to the gym. Or next 30 minutes. Okay, let's call one of the kids. Next 30 minutes. Okay, let's work. Let's prepare for class, right? So I would encourage you to take those baby steps, and then when you make something part of your culture, it's very easy to continue to do it, right? Make it part of your culture, make it part of your habit. So investing in wealth should be part of your culture. It should be part of your habit. Regular conversations about money and wealth. Check your stock portfolio regularly just to see what's going on, right? And invest consistently. Invest as aggressively as you spend money, and that will be massive in protecting you from the economic downturn. Recessions don't hurt everybody. Never believe that everybody's hurting at the same time. No, that just ain't true. No, recessions hurt people that are economically vulnerable. So if you look at for example, the fact that unfortunately, since the Trump administration got into office, I think 300,000 black women have lost their jobs because of DEI programs being eliminated and government jobs being eliminated, and all that's terrible. I think it's very bad. But I I don't understand. I see a lot of people that will complain about it, but I don't always see a lot of people that are willing to do something about it. I think I see lots of content, guys like Roland Martin and stuff like that, and just this is outrageous, and and it all comes back to like making sure everybody knows who they're supposed to vote for, and I respect all that. That's fine, but I like people like Constance Carter. Constance Carter also complained about it, but she also said, let's do something about it. She said, let's make sure they can never do this again. Let's make sure that we take all the talented black women that exist in this country and start reshaping how we view the economic relationship that we have with America, right? And reviewing that relation. And because sometimes if you're in a bad relationship, sometimes you got to break up in order for you to reestablish your power. So, and to know your worth and to know your value. So, and then sometimes because you're addicted to that relationship, you have to be forced to break up. They got to dump you for you to really realize your worth. Anybody ever go through that where you're addicted to somebody that you ain't got no business being with, but you can't imagine walking away because you don't have the strength to do it? Well, sometimes you get blessed. You get blessed, and when they say, "You get out of here. I don't want to see you anymore," and it's devastating at first, but when you pick yourself off the ground, you usually can find a better situation anyway. And then you look back and say, "This is what I needed. I just couldn't break my addiction to this person." I believe, economically speaking, black people are addicted to white people. I think that we're addicted to white businesses. I think that we're addicted to white people's jobs. We're addicted to all these things that they do that don't actually allow us to thrive. They actually force us to barely get by. They also, but they give us this validation that we need. We need to be acknowledged by them. We need to be seen by them. And then when we're seen and acknowledged, and they give us a couple little crumbs, we're like, we're so grateful for that. And I think that that's very limiting. I would say that a big part, we were talking about earlier about expectations and how consumer expectations drive the economy. I believe our expectations of ourselves and each other drive everything that we do, every outcome that we have. If you look at parents that have children that are highly educated, go look at the expectations of those parents. They don't expect their kid to come home with D's and F's on their report card. They don't get excited because their 12-year-old can read, right? They have high expectations. They push them to grow financially, or excuse me, grow intellectually. They push them to bring home straight A's. They push them to reach levels of excellence that will allow them to achieve whatever the goal is. So, what are your goals? What are your expectations?